Good evening, and a warm welcome to our graduates, teachers, special guests, friends, and family members. Before I begin, I would like to say thank you to each and every one of you who helped us make it to this day, especially our parents. Let's give them a quick hand. When I set out to write this speech, I was really relieved to know that I would have no trouble in avoiding the tired cliches of how close we've grown as a senior class, because most of us met yesterday. That's the funny thing about virtual school, and what many of us have experienced when we tell people about how we've chosen to close out our high school careers. When I tell people I attend Baldwin County Virtual School, I get one of two responses. Most of the time, people say, "Oh my gosh, wow, that's so incredible, tell me more about that." And if that is not their instant response, I brace myself for the torrent of virtual jokes coming my way. Did you have prom with virtual reality headsets? No. How are you supposed to virtually drive to class? And my personal favorite, do you have a virtual boyfriend? What? For the former crowd, I'm always excited to explain the ins and outs of virtual school life, my love for the flexibility of this education, the charm of our little buildings, how we are pretty much Little House on the Prairie, but with laptops. For the latter, I grin and bear it and say, "Oh my gosh, I've never heard anyone say that before." All the terrible jokes aside, the pluses of virtual school really are tremendous. I'm able to work full-time while doing my online classes and also participate in the dual enrollment curriculums offered at Coastal Alabama Community College. There's so many advantages to being able to work at your own pace. The levels of freedom and flexibility we enjoy are abundant, and really, really challenging when you find yourself stricken with senioritis. Yes, senioritis. I wish I could say that virtual school students were immune to this terrible plague, but loose deadlines, access teachers who are available only through email, and the ease of only needing to pop by the school sites when you have to take a test are the perfect cocktail to create a seriously unmotivated student, especially in the light of the furious flurry of applying for colleges, the time-consuming act of writing essays, and the inner tumult realizing that we are about to spread our wings for the first time. The typical high school student would easily crumble underneath the weight of all this personal pressure. In fact, when you Google synonyms for responsibility, which I did while writing this speech, one of the example sentences says, quote, "Teenagers may not be showing enough sense of responsibility to be safely granted privileges." But here we are. Because of who we are, we looked at the huge hurdles of massive commitment to be carried out through sheer reliance on our own sometimes flaky personal willpower and said, "Bring it on." We saw how disciplined and thoughtful we would have to be with our time management and said, "Sign me up." We were told we had the opportunity to be thrown into a college classroom at 16-ish years old and said, "Heck yes, I'll do it." In the time of our lives where we are told to enjoy our lack of responsibility and take it easy before the real work of college and life begins, while many of our traditional school peers relax a little and coast to the last bit of high school, we most certainly took the road less traveled. It really does take a particular type of person to pursue virtual learning. You have to be able to distill information from a wide variety of sources rather than having a sheet of key terms just handed to you. You must be extremely organized with time management, and if not, then really good at cramming. You have to be comfortable asking for help from our incredible tutors when you run into problems with lessons. And let me pause here for a moment and acknowledge what a truly critical role our fantastic teachers have played in our lives for the last several years. We, our parents, and our GPAs, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. So as you can see, being a virtual school student takes some gumption. And while we did take the road less traveled, we have certainly been rewarded for it. For one thing, while our friends worked away in their classrooms, we studied in the library, on the beach, in coffee shops, parks, and restaurants, and hunched over our laptops in our pajamas. For another, our school is the only one in this area small enough to have had prom on the USS Alabama battleship, which is pretty magnificent. When we have opportunities to travel, we don't have to worry about falling behind. If you get stuck in one subject, you have the ability to put it down and switch to another for a bit. If you fall in love with Spanish or history or English or whatever it may be, you can spend a whole day devoted to what you enjoy. These unique things about BCVS have been marvelous, to say the least. And now we have made it to the end. And as we get excited for the various roads ahead of us, I hope it is an encouragement to look back and see exactly what it took for us to get here. We did it. We had what it took to make it to this day, and we are perfectly equipped to take on the next chapter of life. Virtual school has given us so many of the tools we will need in this next phase, wherever it may be. We are looking out to college and trade school and careers that will be ready for us because of the work we have already done. Time and time again, we have shown how prepared we are to pursue the next adventure by so artfully completing this one. We need not have any fear of this next phase of life because we can root ourselves in the successes and celebrations of today. This day, this moment, this experience mean we are stepping over a significant threshold. We are all, each and every single one of us, independent, self-governed, intelligent, diligent, creative, capable people who will go on to do wonderful things because we already have a long track record of doing so. Now let us go forth and use these tools and gifts and virtues to be agents of goodness and kindness and hard work in our communities, creating constant change for the better by simply being our fullest selves. So now, at last, it is my honor and my joy to say, Ms. Rosmondo, faculty and staff, Baldwin County Virtual School's senior class of 2019 has met the requirements for graduation as outlined by the State of Alabama Board of Education. We are present and ready to receive our diplomas.